What is up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Nickel City Rush Hour and Red, White, and Bills. Yes, we are streaming live to both channels. First time we've done that in a very long time. So if you're a Nickel City Mafia member and you haven't checked out the Red, White, and Bills, I don't know what you've been doing, what you're waiting for. Get on and go over to his channel and hit that subscribe button. And hey, if you're over on the Red, White, and Bills and never heard of Nickel City Mafia, again, don't know what you've been doing, but head on over and give us give us a sub. We greatly appreciate it. But it is that time, boys. It is that time. We are what, less than 30 days, Jake, from the draft?
Less than 30 days. Yeah, we're less than a month out here, Mike. It's unbelievable.
Wow. And now it's time to kind of dig into those position groups that, we've been doing mock drafts and you hear about the guys at the top, like the first, second, third rounders. You're going to hear some of those again today, but you might hear some surprises that you haven't heard about. And we're going to get into it. Each of us are going to have two centers that we're going to present that we think might be prospects that the Bills should be targeting in this draft. Sean, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Doing pretty good. Good to be back doing some content with you guys. Happy to be here. Happy to be on my channel as well.
Yeah, you look excited because we know you love the trenches. We know that, right? That's all you love to talk about. Last year, man, you were fighting tooth and nail to just people to recognize how good that offensive line was, right?
Nobody wanted to listen, though.
Nobody wanted to listen, and you were right the whole time. And then towards the end of the season, everybody was saying how good that O-line was. And then, Jake, we got a little bit of a surprise. I mean, going into free agency, I don't know about you. I didn't think center would be a concern at all. We had Mitch Morse, we had Ryan Bates, and then things changed quickly. Were you surprised by that?
Very surprised. Yeah, I had heard the rumblings about Mitch Morse being a cap casualty guy, but never did I actually think it would get to that point. I mean, it was pretty immediate. So I think they, maybe they had a number in mind. Maybe they were potentially going to restructure him even. But yeah, it's unfortunate, he's gone and now we got to somehow replace and fill his shoes. So as of right now, Connor McGovern is the starting center, but, talking with Sean and talking with, the group together here. I mean, we want to talk about a guy that can come in and make an impact immediately so we could potentially keep Connor McGovern at the left guard position and have David Edwards still be that rotational guy or maybe just play on heavy package.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea because you like Sean's been preaching, you're just going to have to change one position, right? One position on that line. He's got great players to the right of him, great players to the left of him. That's going to help any young center out. So I'm excited here. What do we got here? Let's see here.
That's a great name. Great handle. Suicide Hotline.
Suicide Hotline, number J17. I'm here to hit the like button, but can't stick around at the Sabres game watching them get blown out by the Senators. They need at least 3 in the third to tie the game.
Yeah, 5-0 at the end of the first period, Mike, and now it's 5-2. So
wow.
Yeah, it looks like they're heading into the third period then, according to Suicide here.
Yep, that's what he's saying. Thank you for joining us and hitting that like button, Suicide. What's this? Trey White out. What's this?
Well, he officially signed. Well, he signed with the Rams yesterday. I don't know if you saw that, but
oh no, I knew that.
Well, we did talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's making it seem like he was out. I'm like, okay.
No.
Something changed.
No, just out of Buffalo, and we wish him well, man. Glad to see that he got another contract, and you can't have any hate towards that dude. I mean, he gave it his all here, and it's just unfortunate. You wanted him to finish his career as a Bill, but now he's going to finish it as a Ram, most likely.
Let's see. Jake wasn't alive the last time they were in the playoffs.
2010, I was actually in high school, but, who's counting?
All right, well, let's get into it here. We're going to try to make this a quick stream tonight. I feel like, we're going to have draft targets. We're going to be shoving them down your throat here. We're going to start with the center. We'll have more throughout the week on the different positions. But I think, Jake, you're going to start us off with your 2 centers that you think are legitimate guys that the Bills should be looking at. And then, Jake, when you're talking about them, again, because of what happened, kind of tell us where you think the Bills might be going after a center. I know you're big on still going wide receiver number 1, but when you're talking about these guys, like the first guy you got up there, you're saying projected round 1 and 2. That tells me if you're going receiver 1, you might have to go center number 2 to get this guy. Right. So talk to us.
Yeah, for sure. Zach Frazier is almost a lock to for sure be at least a day 2 guy. I've seen him climb into the ranks of being a day 1 pick. I think he was actually mocked to a team in the first round on Daniel Jeremiah's second mock draft that he did. So he's kind of a tweener there where he could go first or second round, but I don't expect him to slip into the third. So it definitely have to be one of those 2 rounds that the Bills would be able to take him. But this kid, man, I've watched a lot of tape on him, and strong, very, very strong. Actually, his pro comp is AQ Shipley, which I think suits him very well. At 6'3", 315, he's pretty, I'm not going to say he's huge, but he's pretty normal, average size, right? So, which is crazy to say 6'3", 315 is average size, but that's just the reality of the position this day and age. It seems like the center position, for whatever reason, is getting taller and taller. As you can see, I mean, we will be able to see with some of our other prospects on here, a lot of them are 6'4", 6'5". So Zach Frazier just right in the middle there at 6'3". But what I like about him is that his football IQ is through the roof. He did really, really good things at West Virginia. He has extreme athleticism. He's able to get to the second level. He pulls from the center position quite often, actually, on his tape. I don't know if you guys were able to watch any of it, but it's so damn impressive the way he's able to work to the second level. So that's one of the things I really like about him is just his overall athleticism. And that would actually fit really well with what the Bills scheme is. Mitch Morse was able to do a lot of things like that too. One thing that it's going to be hard to replace, switching Connor McGovern to the center position, seeing if he can do all the same things that Mitch Morse could do from that much of an interior position. It's not the easiest thing, especially at the center position. So Zach Frazier gives us that opportunity. And to me, I've done a couple mock drafts where I've actually traded back into the second round, and I've gotten an additional second round pick, and I've taken Zach Frazier and then Xavier Legette. And that was more or less just taking the 2 best players available too at that exact spot. So I love this kid, excited for an opportunity to potentially draft a kid like this, and want to get your guys' thoughts real quick.
Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, well, one thing I'm surprised you didn't mention, Jake, was his grittiness, because he had that injury. Instead of just laying there getting a timeout called, he crawled off the field, like
love
a man.
That.
So
yeah,
and then like you mentioned, getting to the second level and having a good IQ, that's 2 really important parts for a center, especially in today's NFL. And this guy's got it. And again, I used to think like, oh, you don't want to be too tall, but you got guys like Mitch Morse who are 6'6", so 6'3", 315. Absolutely perfect build. And just for everybody listening out there was a stat that I listened to today. I told the guys about it. There's been 11 centers drafted since 2006 in the top 40. 10 of those 11 have either been all pros or pro bowlers or both. So what I was saying a couple weeks ago is that I've never seen a early round center bust in my lifetime, I feel like. And I was just talking at the same time, but there's a statistic that really proves that once you get a center early, oftentimes they're going to come out and be game changers right away. And center is one of those positions where it can really make your team good when, things might not be looking too good for you. And we have a great offensive line to begin with. But if you bring a guy like Zach Frazier in and you move McGovern back to guard, we're laughing again. We'll probably even break the top 5. We were 6 last year, but this would be, I would absolutely love to get a guy like Zach Frazier, because JPJ was like the pipe dream, but I've seen some Panthers channels talking about getting Zach Frazier at 33. That's like a realistic position for him. And honestly, I would get him at 28 if he's there. If I was the GM.
Yeah.
If I was the GM, but unfortunately we have Brandon Beane, and I don't think he'll get a guy like Zach Frazier, but he's this is exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Strong, powerful, fast, quick, good feet. Man, would love that pick.
The Bills are in a position to take the best player available, in my opinion. The receiver class is so deep that we can afford to, if we really want to focus on the receiver position, you can probably afford to wait until the second round. So if this kid's available and you have guys like A.D. Mitchell or Troy Franklin, who are like those fringe guys who you're not too sure on what type of player you're going to get in the pros, they lit it up in college, but there are some small inconsistencies. It might be something to consider. Obviously, I want weapons, and this isn't always the sexiest pick, but it is, I think, worth the pick. This kid is going to be good at the next level. I think he's going to be a Pro Bowl caliber player. And I'll say this too. Most of the time, Sean made a really good point. A lot of times when teams are taking centers in the first round or in the first 40 picks even, they're going to hit There's only one guy that I could really think of that I've seen in recent time that didn't really land, and that was Billy Price for the Bengals. But otherwise, man, I mean, you talk about some of these centers, they're generational and they're on their teams that they were drafted by 10 years later. So to me, I think if you're going to make the move, do it. And it's, it better be a home run, but I would feel very confident with this one.
Yeah, I like everything you guys said. I mean, he's a shoo-in if he's available at 28 because he was a decorated high school wrestler. So you don't know McDermott's going to be all over that.
Loves that.
And so I love that. And I want to ask you guys, so it's kind of interesting when I'm looking at when I've been doing the research, they'll tell me this guy's a little small for center. And I'm like, what do you mean? One of the guys I'm looking at that I'm going to be talking about, he's 6'4", 303 pounds. And very similar to Mitch. Mitch was a 6'6", a little taller. He's around a little over 300 pounds. But what's that sweet spot that people are saying that is perfect for a center these days, Jake?
Yeah, you'll see it. I mean, this is kind of on the shorter end. Like I said, this is kind of mid-tier now. That's 6'3". To me, it's the whole, I guess, the concerns about the quarterback being shorter than the center. They're long and they're gone, Yeah. So you'll see, I mean, as of recent, a lot of these centers that have come in, they're 6'5", 6'6", Mike. So, it just seems like they're getting taller and taller as we go.
Love it. So that was the thing. That's why they're saying, back in the, Mitch was a tall center. And that was the concern because you got a Doug Flutie back there trying to throw over 6'6" guy.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't typically have those issues anymore.
Right.
So love the pick, Jake. Love the pick.
And I want to say, so the only thing he actually did at the combine was the bench press. He benched 30 times, 225 for 30 times. So I don't love these players not participating in every drill.
Yeah.
I think we talked a little bit about this previously, Mike. But if you're going to do it, have it be one of your best drills. If you're doing it 30 times, it's pretty damn good. So we'll take it.
Love it.
Not bad. All right, I'm going to move on to my next one here. So next up on the list, we have a Penn State guy, Hunter Norzad out of Penn State, like I said. Very similar in size here, 6'3", 317. He is a super senior. He's 23 years old. And for him, same deal. The only skill set that was tested outside of the on-the-field drills was the bench press, and he did it 27 times, which, again, solid reps there. Solid job putting those numbers up. With him, one of the things I really liked about it was just his athleticism. I think he's a little more raw than Zach Frazier, but he's a good alternative. So if Zach Frazier is not there at 28 or 60 or whenever we do pick, this guy we can grab down the line in round 4, most likely, maybe even round 5. I would say round 4 is probably more realistic. But for him, man, it's just another good fit, very similar. Really good job of getting to the second level for him. Perfect in the zone blocking scheme. Does a tremendous job on angle blocks, able to get his hands inside. He drives his feet nonstop and he finishes. And that is something you love to see on tape is guys finishing. You play to the echo of the whistle. And I know that is like super cliche to say, but this guy literally does that. So he's got a little bit of a nastiness to him. He's got that tenacity. And that's what you like to see out of a guy, especially on the interior of the offensive line. So we need more of those dudes on this offensive line just to keep up the reputation that we had from this past season. So would love to get a guy like this. If we can't get a Zach Frazier or a guy in the earlier rounds, I think this would be a great get in the 4th round for us, Hunter Norzad.
Is there any, has he only played center in his career? Is there any?
Yeah, he's only been a center.
From?
Yeah, he's never. Now, I think he does have the athleticism to play guard, but to me, center is definitely a more natural fit for him just because he's played it his entire career.
I'll tell you what, the pitcher scares the hell out of me, so I'm signing him.
I know, look at that, huh? The war paint, man. You got to love it. Yeah.
Sean, you got any thoughts on Hunter?
Yeah, so when I was doing my center research in the beginning, he was one of the guys I first noticed, and I knew Jake was going to like him because he's a Penn State guy.
Oh, yeah.
But from what I remember, and Jake might be able to pull up the PFF stats, but from what I remember from a couple weeks ago, I feel like he performed pretty well versus
Ohio
good
State
teams. And that's one thing I'm looking at for every position in this draft is how did you perform against good teams? I don't care how you perform against the bad teams or the poor teams or whatever. I only want to see what you do against the great teams because that's what we're going to be playing in the NFL. So I was pleased for that. And like it says here, projected in the 4th or 5th round. So if we maybe ignore the position, you could get a guy like Norzad and he can come in and start. And yeah, he might have a little bit of of work to do to be elite, but he can come in and definitely be better than what Connor McGovern could probably be at center, and then put McGovern back to guard. So, and then again, we do a lot of zone running. Mitch Morse pulled a ton, so I just think he would fit perfectly. And I like to see Aaron Cromer get his hands on him and mold him into something.
Yeah. Yeah, turn on the Penn State tape. Like, it's crazy because he didn't grade very well on PFF, but I don't love PFF. I'm more about the eye test and what you see out there. I thought he had a really good game against Ohio State. So that's one of the, you talk about like playing well against bigger competition. I mean, he went up against Michael Hall, which, he's a projected 3rd round pick himself, 3rd or 4th round pick. So, yeah, I mean, I think, the best part is too, with Big Ten offensive linemen, man, technically sound. I mean, any Big Ten offensive lineman, any starting Big Ten offensive lineman, they're going to have great technique. So that's one other thing that I love about this kid. And Brett, we're not moving on from you, brother. We miss you, man. Soon.
Me and Big Al both played center, apparently. I played center
in 6th grade. Yeah, I did it in 6th grade, actually.
7th and 8th grade, and then I went to running back.
I was too fast to play center, guys. I mean, come on. It was like the only center I wanted to play was, I'll throw a few snaps back to you, and only if the center could go out. Like if you had, a few guys playing. Yeah, exactly. If the center can go out for a pass, all right, I'll do it. But no, I was too fast back in the day. So I love your pick there, Jake. I mean, 4th or 5th rounder. I love that you're bringing somebody, because with 11 picks, if we don't get one of these big guys early on, it's so crazy to me. Like, there's so many directions that this draft could go now based on the moves that Bean has made. And I've been saying I do not think it's a wide receiver, but there's still a large part of the community. I'm in the minority that still think it's a wide receiver that they're going to go with in round 1.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw the tidbit on the quarterback room. Josh Allen was interviewing with Kyle Allen and Jordan Palmer, and he had talked about his top receivers in the draft class. So everyone's starting to speculate now that the Bills are going to go wide receiver with pick number 1 here.
Who did he say? Did he mention?
Well, the last name he mentioned was Xavier Leggett, and he's like, "Hey, have you guys heard that dude's accent?" And I'm like, "Oh, Josh, keep talking him up, baby. We need that front office to go and get our guy, right?"
I've been hearing a lot of Troy Franklin lately.
I have too. He had a private workout with the Bills too. Yeah. Yep.
So interesting. All right, well, good stuff. There's 2 very good centers I would not be disappointed with. Obviously, Hunter Norzad, isn't that guy going to be day 1, right? He's going to be a little
day
bit
3
of a project. Well, what I say is coming in to start the season, like you were talking early on that we would love to get a guy that we can keep Connor over at guard and have someone play center. So you never know, though. I love it. Bring these guys in once they're in camp. I mean, you never know what could happen here, right? This guy could just shine in camp, and Aaron Cromer could love him and say, this guy's got to be our starter.
Yeah. My dad was a beast back in the day. Played for Frontier High School here locally. He got scouted by Iowa State, actually, Mike, and he had a visit out there. I don't think he ever actually took the visit, but they were going to fly him out on a plane and everything. Back then, recruiting was a lot different too, but just to think about it, man, he would have been playing in the Big 12, and guess who he would have been playing up against in college? Our guy behind me here, Mr. Thurman Thomas himself.
Whoa.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Wild. Yep. All right, moving on.
Let's move on to Sean's guys. I'm very curious. Sean. Well, I know one of them. These guys took out the really, really good ones. I always pick up the scraps. We know this. Sean's been on this guy. Wait, who's this? Oh, he's starting with his other center. Okay. You're switching it up a little bit here.
Well, I did it in order of projected round, so you'll see why.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah, so Van Pran, 6'4", 298, big guy, strong, muscular guy. I guess you could consider him light in the pants compared to some of the other guys that we talked about at 298. But when you think about physical, handsy, tough, Van Pran's my guy. And I looked at him and guys like in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, because I'm assuming that we're going to ignore the position. And I'm like, well, if he's there and we already got receiver and D tackle, maybe they'll just be like, you know what, we do need a center, so we'll go with a guy like him. But 2023 Jacobs Blocking Trophy Award winner, best blocker in the conference. They don't just give that to anybody. So that's
SEC
incredible.
too. That's the SEC too,
Exactly.
Sean. So a lot of competition.
And I'm big on that. And like I always say, the most important thing for me is how do you perform against great talent? How do you perform against the teams when it matters most? How do you perform in the big games? And Georgia Bulldogs, they're always up in that conversation of being the best team in the college football. So I got to watch them a couple of times. I didn't watch much college football this year, but when I did, it seemed like Georgia was on. So I liked what I saw from him. Combine numbers, his 40 was 5.2, so not bad. 10-yard split, 1.7. And I think you guys talked about it. What's a great 10-yard split typically? What was it?
You'll see it next, but you're looking for like mid 1.6s around there.
Yeah, so that's not too bad. That's solid. 3 cone, 7.46. 20-yard shuttle sprint, 4.82. Go over to his skill set. Praised by the coaches and players alike for high character and leadership within the Georgia locker room. And we all know
much, right?
We all know how important that is, especially for a guy in the center position, because the center position is the quarterback of the offensive line. He's the guy that calls out blitzes and protections, or not protections, but he's the one that's surveying the field while the tackles and the guards are in their position. He's surveying, letting Josh know what's going on, so then Josh can make the proper protections and calls. And if you can trust a young guy, 22 years old, to go in there and be that leader, that's really impressive, especially in a well-known program like that. Again, thickly built. I love how they wrote that. With some room to add 10 to 15 more pounds, absolutely. Get yourself into NFL nutrition, and we'll see what happens with them. Quick twitch athlete. That's very important, again, in our type of offense. We're gonna run the ball more than people think. We saw it near the end of the year. We're about 50-50. So I imagine we're gonna give James Cook a lot of run. So we need a guy that can run in the zone and gap block scheme, and he can do that. And again, 3rd and 4th round, maybe. Why not pull a trigger on a guy like Van Pran?
I like it. Yeah. He reminds me a lot of Lloyd Cushenberry, actually. Very similar in size coming out of college. Both played for the SEC. Lloyd Cushenberry was at LSU. But, yeah, a guy that I think, probably a surefire 3rd-round pick, but he'll be an early 3rd-rounder, and he's going to make some team very happy, and he'll be a starter for the future for them. I think he's a little bit raw. I think the size hurts him a touch, but he tested well at the combine. And listen, for the Bills, you want to talk about a perfect fit. I always talk about the culture here in Buffalo. This guy is your man. So we'd love to see them get him.
Yeah, I love Sean that you've always preached, SEC guys, right?
Yeah.
They are the best conference in college football. These guys are going against the best talent there is. And it's always funny when you say, the size might hurt him. He's 5 to 10 pounds off of what they'd want. So get some chicken wings in him, bulk him up just a little bit. But I love it. Great pick there. And again, being that he's played in the SEC, I mean, these guys are ready to go. So I would have no problem taking him. And again, you say he's projected round 3. We're going to have to make some moves up the board to get a 3rd-round pick, but I would love it. If we can't get one of those top guys, here you go. I love Cedric. Great choice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't mention this. My brother, Blake, played center. Dr. Blake Podger, who was supposed to be on our show. He signed a contract with us. Still has not appeared, but he will someday. But yeah, he was a center at Edinburgh University, and he had a pretty bad career-ending concussion, if you will. It was his choice to ultimately stop playing football because now he's a doctor. So had to make the right choice there, protect his brain, and it was a smart move. But yeah, he would hit guys so hard. A problem with Blake, he was great at what he did, but he usually led with his head, and it paid the price. He actually broke the bladder inside his helmet at Edinburgh in practice the one day, and that was one of his concussions right there. But he smacked that linebacker, that's for sure. That dude was feeling it.
Yeah, let Blake know we have lawyers that are going to be contacting him to get back that money that we gave him in that big contract. So hope he's okay. Haven't seen him in a while. Where's he at?
He's been working.
Trev out there. Look at that.
Hell yeah, Trev. Appreciate you, man. By the way, check out his show talking about offensive linemen. He actually interviewed John Fina a few weeks back.
Sure did.
And that was fabulous, man. That was a great show.
Yeah, it was. The interview was fantastic. Trev really did his research on that one.
Yeah. Ram 22. We can't believe it. Dude. But we appreciate you, Trav, as always, brother. We got to get together soon. I know we've been talking about it for a while, but we got to collab again soon. All right. Let's move on to the next one here, guys. What do you think?
Yeah.
Ooh,
This is the man.
Yes, sir.
Hell yeah.
So note that he's only 3 pounds heavier than the last guy. You said he's a little size gonna hurt him.
I said he could be considered light in the pants.
Well,
Light in
look,
the
the
pants.
height, 6'5", right? And look
Yeah,
at
man. I mean, just a complete athletic specimen. And Jake was talking about Mr. Frazier getting 30 reps. Mr. Bo got 39 reps at 225.
Yep.
That's pretty damn impressive. But yeah, again, another guy where I'm going to assume we're going to ignore the position. And even if it's not ignoring it, even if we have more needs like D tackle or wide receiver, this is a round 3 and 4 where you can get guys like Van Pran and Bo where they could be starters in this league and even be all pros, but might have a little bit of work to do. Might not be, Creed Humphrey right off the bat, but I absolutely believe that a guy like Bo Lemur can fit into this system, into this offense. Again, he's like Mitch Morse, basically. Mitch Morse was 6'6", 305. So he's like a Mitch Morse clone, except stronger, younger, probably a little bit faster. And, again, it would have been nice to have a guy like Mitch Morse this year still to train a guy like him as far as his, with his veteran leadership. But man, let's get into some Bo. 22 years old, senior. Again, I mentioned the 39 reps of 225. That's absolutely insane. His 40 was 5'2". Again, pretty solid. And then his 10-yard shuttle, 165, which again, Jake mentioned, that's pretty damn good, especially for linemen. 36.5 broad jump, 3 cone, a 7.4, 20-yard shuttle sprint, 4.5. Yeah, this guy's just an athletic, specimen for sure. Gets in the block fits with hip bend and inside hands. Runs feet through contact. Some of the letters are kind of small. Contact and keeps defenders occupied through the rep. Again, that's another important thing for a center, not to give up on a rep. Push the guy out. If you got a double team and help out, get to the second level, get that linebacker so James Cook can take it upfield for a touchdown. Keep them hands on, keep them paws on him, and keep driving. That's one of the strengths of his game. Processes pre-snap danger and post-snap twist smoothly. Again, that's one of the most important jobs of center is being able to read the defense. As Big Al said, you learn how to read a defense. And again, stepping in the NFL as a rookie, 4th-round pick, it might be a little bit, nerve-wracking at first, but after you get it doing it a couple of times, this guy's got the athletic tools and the prowess and the physical ability to, once you get through the rep part of it, he'll be more than fine. He'll be great in this league. And again, like I said, in our offense, we're going to run the ball a lot. We're going to get the ball into guys like Curtis Samuel's hands. He's going to run the ball. He's going to catch some slants and screens. And when you got a guy like Bo who can race down the field, lay some dudes out, lay the wood, clear those paths, man, I'm just super excited to maybe get a guy like this. I don't know if we will, but again, absolutely love this guy.
4th round, we got a couple picks there. So again, if we don't hit one of these early guys, I wouldn't mind that at all, man. Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and one thing with him too, he brings a ton of starting college experience to the table too. And one thing that I really like about him is, I mean, you could see it in this picture, right? He's always looking. He does a hell of a job of passing guys off and taking guys on when he needs to. He's looking inside, he's looking outside, very situationally aware out there on the field. And I think that's what really stood out to me. And obviously, he's just an athletic freak. Now, I will say, you go to the Senior Bowl, you look at some of his reps that he took against Tavondre Sweat, he got absolutely dummied. But a couple, he did hold his own, and that's a big dude coming at him. So I think that's where maybe he can improve a little bit is, with his pad level, I would say overall. And that's crazy to say because Tavondre Sweat is a large human being himself, but he was just a touch lower, and Bo Limmer paid the price on a few of those. But I will say this, man. I mean, you look at how he tested, his overall strength in general, I think it's very good. And he'll be able to at least stalemate a lot of those battles in the NFL just because of that alone. So, I would love to get this kid round 4 again. Him or Hunter Norzet are my guys at round 4 that I'm looking at all day.
Yeah, they were the first two people I looked at, honestly. I was just like, man, these two guys. And he does have guard flex, but again, I'm not picking him because of the guard flex. And again, they seem to think that he might struggle a little bit in pass protection, but they've been saying, oh, he's great being a run blocker that he is. It's going to find him some success in the NFL. But again, I don't think he's going to struggle in pass blocking as much as they're thinking. And all that stuff is technical that a guy like Aaron Cromer can fix. The heavy feet, things like that. Cromer's not going to look at this guy and be like, he's just a run blocker. He's a prototype Aaron Cromer type guy. So I would love to see that. And again, let's bring one of these big boys in there.
Heck yeah. Jason Kelce was drafted in the 6th round at 6'3", 295, guys. So let's just let that sink in, right?
All right.
This dude, he's got all the tools, right? All the athleticism in the world. No reason he shouldn't succeed in this league.
Hey, before you guys move on to me, and I thought Sean had the guy covered, JPJ, and I guess we left him off this list just because we don't think we're going to have a shot at him, right?
Yeah.
But if JPJ was out there and fell, I don't know, anywhere from, if he's available like at 23, 22, you making a move up the board there, Sean, and getting him?
Absolutely. And again, if it's not just, his absolute ability, but just the statistic of 10 out of 11 centers that are drafted in the top 40 since 2006 are all pros or pro bowlers or both. And a guy like him who's been touted as the best interior, not just center, interior offensive lineman in this draft and a generational talent, we'd be silly not to. But again, the only thing I'm worried about with that is I know Dallas, their center just signed with Atlanta, so they need a center, and they pick at 24. And they're a big lineman team. Jerry Jones knows what he's doing, so I got a feeling if he makes it past 23, Dallas is taking him. But
yeah,
that'd just be a pipe dream.
You'd have to move up to 23 at least. All right, cool. Thank you for sharing that. Again, I thought I wasn't looking. I kind of ignored the guys that Sean said because I'm thinking for sure one of them is JPJ. But here he goes, a little surprise. So I love it. All right, let's move on.
Well, we covered him in the AFC East Summit show anyway, so that's all good. It's all fine and dandy. But if we have a shot, man, generational guy for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Mike, here we go.
All right, this guy, I'm gonna give a warning out there right now. This guy fires me up. Put something over your ears right now. Get your cat safe. Here we go. Let's go. Normally don't play this on offense, but this is your guy. This is your guy. Now I'm telling you why. Okay, first of all, he played center for Duke back in 2020, but the rest of his career, he's played tackle. Now, if you go look at the combine, his numbers are off the chart. They have his numbers for center. They're saying in his center, he's like number 1, but he really was he's been a tackle for the last 3 years. But versatility. A lot of the experts say this guy's going to be better on the inside. They say his arms are too short. It's always a weird thing to me, but the arms are too short, so he needs to play inside. This is your guy. Take him, grab him, first or second. You won't be disappointed. And I mean, he's just extremely explosive athlete. I mean, I'm not even going to read your skill set over you. You can read that for me. My eyes aren't that good these days. But this dude is just extremely explosive. This is the guy you want. And Sean, just to give you some comparisons. So last year, you always like to see how he played against some of the top teams. Now, unfortunately, he was a little banged up last year, so he missed a couple games. But he played Clemson the first week of the season, Duke did, and he had a rating, PFF, and again, I know, Jake, you're not a fan of it, but it's a tool, and it's the only real tool that I can use here, but 84.2 pass blocking score against Clemson. It was I think they were in the top 10 last year. If not top 10, top 20 for sure. Then he missed Notre Dame. He was injured for that game. Unfortunately, I would love to see him because Notre Dame was also a top 20 team. And then he played Florida State, who was number 4 at the time they played. And again, Florida State was also a top 20 team, and he scored in 73.3 in run blocking. Unfortunately, Louisville, he missed that game as well. And the only game he really struggled against was North Carolina, who was ranked number 24 at the time. And I don't know what happened there. I mean, well, I do know what happened. He gave up 4 pressures in that game and was only given a 47.1 run blocking score. But this guy, I mean, the experts love him. I mean, all the draft analysts love him. And you're going to get that versatility if you take him. Again, a better version, a much better version of a Ryan Bates. This guy could actually play. I don't think he'd start day one. Obviously, he's used to playing tackle. He's got to work a little bit, get that back under center experience going. But who knows? I mean, again, you come to camp and you remember those days back when you're doing the center position. Maybe it just comes back like riding a bike and he shines. And this is a guy I feel like that could definitely contribute year one.
Certainly. Yeah.
Love it.
His pro comp is Cody Whitehair, which I think is great. This is a dude that's extremely athletic, versatile. And I think, maybe even a better version of Ryan Bates, Mike. So we just lost Ryan Bates. So why not take a guy who's similar to him and put him at the center position? I think this guy can absolutely do it. I think his home in the NFL is definitely the center position. With him, it's just incredible body control, does a great job working to the next level. And when he gets a hold of you, you're not going anywhere. Like he's just going to move you like a freight train. So, and he's projected a first or second round pick for a reason. I think he's an early day 2 pick and a late day 1 pick. So, a guy that you might have to consider taking.
Sean, any thoughts on Mr. Graham Barton? Don't make me play the train again to fire you up for him.
No, I love it. I mean, and he's when you're saying, a Ryan Bates type. Let's all remember that Ryan Bates isn't that great, but this guy, he might not be the best to ever play the game, but he's definitely got potential to be way better than Ryan Bates. I'll tell you that. But
I was just comparing him for versatility.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, right.
I was going to say he can actually probably legitimately play all 5 positions. Like Ryan Bates, he could, but is he good at all of them or just good at one, bad at the next? I think this guy can be that versatile tool. And if he is playing center for you, and then Dawkins goes down and you don't feel like putting a Van Denmark in, you can throw Barton over there and then you put McGovern to center. But then you're shifting a lot. But it looks nice to know that you got guys that can do more than one thing at a decent level to better, to good, not just I don't really know if I want him to go there. But yeah, any athletic freak, I'll take you. I love it.
Yep. Perfect size, right? 6'5", 313. Gotta love that as well. And he wears the blue. I mean, anyone wearing blue coming out of college, I mean, gotta take him.
Absolutely.
I love it. Yeah.
Good stuff
I'm
there.
here for it. Sean, you're bringing all the Dolphins fans in, man. Thanks for bringing them on the channel here. Yeah, I love it. Miss Finn, shout out to you. I saw there was another guy in here too. Who was it? Someone was on here not too long ago.
All the Finns fans, when you come to Buffalo, you hear this. We're going to remind you what you're going to get there at Highmark. There we go, baby. 3rd down for the Dolphins. 3rd and 10. Bring the trains.
That's right.
Let's go.
Heck yeah. Ryan said you gave him goosebumps, Mike. So
it was funny because what was it last one? Roy. Last show, he said, "Mike, you scared the heck out of my cat."
Yeah, he did. That was pretty good.
I felt so bad. It's funny.
Yep.
All right, let's go on to my sleeper, because we've all had a little bit of a sleeper. And again, I listen to Sean because he's much more knowledgeable about me when it comes to the trenches, and he always likes these SEC guys, which he had one of them on his one of his 2 guys as well. Charles Turner is a 5-year senior. I mean, he wasn't starting, but he was on the team when Joe Burrow won the national championship. And here he is this year blocking for, the most prolific passing team. I mean, they scored the most points per game last year. And I mean, when I was looking at him, I'm like, all right, 6'4", 303. This is one of the guys I was talking about earlier. They're saying, one of the negatives, he's a little small. I'm like, what? Really? Mitch Morse was 6'6", 305. So, okay, he's 2 inches shorter, but weight is right there. I just love the experience that he has. He's got actually a little bit longer arms than Mitch Morse does. He wasn't, he's a little slower than Mitch. Mitch was a 2nd round pick, and Mitch was just incredible. But I love Charles Turner because I was looking here for a team that threw the ball. And I know, Sean, you're saying we're going to be 50-50. I don't really think that's the case.
I hope not. I hope I'm
All
wrong.
right. You always say, we want to be throwing the ball 60,
Yep.
65, 35, something
Yes.
like that. And this guy was fantastic. I think he gave up 1 sack the whole year. And he played a lot of snaps. And he's been the starter now for 2 straight years. So I love the experience. I love the size. I love the team he played for. I love the teams he played against. And I'll let you talk about a little bit about him, Jake, before, and I'll bring up some additional stats that I have on some additional notes.
Yeah, well, iron sharpens iron. First off, he got to go up against Mekhi Wingo, Jordan Jefferson, and Mason Smith all day, every day in practice. Okay, so just that alone should, allow him to be considered in this year's draft. I know some scouts and analysts have him going as a UDFA. I still think he gets drafted 6th to 7th round. He's just very raw. I think with him, they talk about his size. So he's 6'4", 303, but he doesn't look it at all. His frame is very small for that size, if that even makes sense. His reach is good though, which I think will help him in the league, obviously. He can hold up against some of the best in terms of like the zero techs that he played against in college. So to me, that was a really impressive thing that I saw on his tape. I haven't watched a ton of it, admittedly, but some of the plays that I have seen, he's gone up against some big dudes and has held his own. Really, really good athleticism, moves really well laterally as well, and good hand placement for the most part on a lot of his pass sets. So, yeah, I like the kid. He's definitely going to be a project. He's not going to be a day one starter or anything like that. But again, like I said, Jason Kelsey drafted in round 6, guys. Undersized guy as well. So never say never. Anything can happen. I think this dude has the skills and the traits that it takes to play in the next level.
Let me ask you, Jake, why do you think he's so raw? He's played a ton of games, actually more games than most of these centers we've talked about.
It's his technique. It's his technique. And I think this is something that the SEC gets a lot of slack for. They produce mainly just maulers, guys that are just going to go out there, see a linebacker or see a nose guard or a D tackle or whatever it may be, and they're just going to square up and just take them out, and they're going to drive. They can get away with it at the college level. You cannot get away with that at the NFL. Those guys are way too athletic. So to really break it down, him compared to a guy like Hunter Norzad, it's really technique. That's the biggest difference between the two of those guys. And I feel like he kind of oversteps, he lunges at times, and that's where he's going to get caught in the NFL. Whereas a guy like Hunter Norzad is a little more polished, and that's why he's going to be a day 3 pick, an early day 3 pick, as compared to Charles Turner, who might be a late day 3 pick.
Yeah, and Sean, before I throw it to you, let me give you those numbers again. Those PFF grades versus some of those top teams he played. Remember, he's SEC. So first game of the year was against Florida State. I think they were top 10, at least top 20 last year, and they scored. Yeah. He had a pass blocking score of 67.8. He then played number 20, Ole Miss. Ole Miss was the top 20 team last year. Yep. Did fantastic against Ole Miss. Run blocking score of 80.8. Then he went against Missouri, number 21. Now, Missouri, he had a rough day, but he only played 11 snaps. I think he got hurt in that game.
Yeah.
So rough day there. And then let's see here. Then played Alabama, number 8, 70.6.
That's the tape you want to watch. If you're going to watch any tape of Charles Turner, that one right there.
And then he just finished out the year against Florida, 83, Georgia State, 83, Texas A&M, 83. Strong finish. Mm-hmm. Again, a guy you can take with all those draft picks, bring him in. If you don't, bring him in the camp and see what he can do for you. I mean, like you said, iron sharpens iron, and we're going to have 90 folks on this team at some point during the camp competing for spots. And I would love to see a guy like this get an opportunity, whether he's a undrafted free agent or whether we pick him in one of the late rounds. I have my thing says Jake is a 4 to 6, round 4 to 6. Yeah. So I'm not sure where you pulled that one, but again, it really depends on your source.
I surveyed a couple of different sites, and to me, I would grade him out as probably a 6th rounder, just based on his rawness.
Jake and his rawness. I don't know. Sean, how can you say rawness when the dude has played for LSU?
I know.
One of the most prolific passing teams.
I think it comes down to technique, and you can conceal a lot of the bad stuff that he does just because they were such a good team.
Yeah, I totally get that. And then, just looking at the experience aspect of it, Mike, like you said, I mean, especially playing at LSU. He's played on a team with Joe Burrow, so he's been around winning culture. He's been around great coaching. It's nice to hear about. And then one thing I like the most, in a skill set, it shows the ability to hold ground versus zero tech nose guards. And even though they don't necessarily play nose tackle all the time, but I think of guys like Chris Jones, I think of guys like Quentin Williams who can play anywhere on the line, but will more than likely be lining up majority of the game against you at center. And if he can handle guys like that, we play Quentin Williams twice a year. We play Chris Jones most likely twice a year every year. The Dolphins don't have Christian Wilkins anymore, but they still got Zach Seiler. Patriots got a good defensive line usually. The AFC is full of a lot of talent. The Baltimore Ravens got Justin Madubuike back. We played the Baltimore Ravens. We played the 49ers. A lot of great defensive lines are coming. So you got a guy that can hold his own against some of the biggest and the baddest. I don't care. I don't care if you're a 7th round pick. I don't care if you're a 50th round pick. If you can do that, sign me up. And like I said, I didn't watch much of LSU, but from what you guys have talked about, and little clips that I've seen, I wouldn't mind bringing this guy in the building. I wouldn't go as far as what you said, Jake, and he might not be a day one starter. I think he would start over Will Clapp, and I'm assuming saying that because I want McGovern to play left guard. If McGovern's playing center, maybe they won't start him, but give a guy like
not
this
a Will Clapp guy.
What's that?
You're not a Will Clapp guy, are you?
No, I am, but it's just there's no need. There's no need for him to be a starter on our team. You know what I mean? He's not that good, and 6 years of NFL experience, 6 years of injuries. So I would rather, like Mike was saying, why not take a shot on this guy? You got the same offensive line minus Mitch Morse. You throw this guy in there. Who knows? Give him that offseason with Cromer in the training camp. He might ball out going against Ed Oliver every day in training camp, Daquan Jones, true veterans, true ballers. I don't know. It might be nice. And again, I'm praying that we pick a center. I don't care if it's 1st or 7th, but the more we talk about him, the more I'm feeling like we're going to ignore it. we're going to ignore it. But,
I mean, even take a flyer on Charles Turner. I think that'd be a great pick for us in the 6th round. I mean, why not?
Absolutely.
We have plenty of late round picks. You may as well use one of those on a center, right?
Yeah. And Jay, it's not that I don't like Will Clapp, but I just think it'd be better him as a depth piece, especially with his injury history. Like if you got him in the, he could be Torrance's backup. He's backup center, and then Edwards can be McGovern's backup like he was last year, and he plays heavy package. I think that's sweet because Torrance had to play 1,300 snaps last year. So it'd be nice. And then I think it's time for the future at that position. So any one of those guys we talked about, get one of them, man. I'm excited. And as soon as I heard that stat today about 10 out of the 11 top 40 centers since 2006 are all pros, Pro Bowlers, it made me want a center in the top 40 even more.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, I have a question for you. So
sure.
Tell us, I mean, obviously we mentioned all these guys. One thing we didn't really talk about is, does he fit an Aaron Cromer player? I mean, Aaron Cromer has a style that he likes, right? What is that style that Aaron Cromer likes?
So I guess it could be different opinion for different people. To me, I feel like Aaron Cromer guys are physical. They're, able to run in zone run scheme, a little bit of gap, but just physical and hardworking that are able to go to the second level, who are good with teamwork. Because you notice there was more, this past year than in years past where, you're seeing everyone helping each other. So I just think guys that have actually, absolutely have the raw physical abilities, but being able to fit in the run in the zone, again, pass blocking is a given, but just guys that are able to do multiple aspects of the game, not just, he's only good at one thing. He wants guys that are able to do multiple. So that's just my opinion. I mean, could be different for other people, but that's what I think.
You agree with that, Jay?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I actually thought we were going to get away from that zone scheme a little bit last year when we took Osiris Torrance in the 2nd round. I'm like, this guy is a straight line, body on body dude. Like, he is not meant for the zone scheme, but he did a tremendous job, and we didn't get away from it at all. So all the guys that we mentioned would be a great fit for that zone scheme. And again, a little bit of tenacity with all those dudes that we mentioned as well, which you love to see. That's what we need on this offensive line. You got to establish the line of scrimmage with a little bit of attitude and athleticism. You can be pretty, but you can also be a little nasty at the same time. So that's what I'm here for. That's what Aaron Cromer likes.
Nastiness and athleticism. It's a good it's a good recipe.
Hell yeah.
Got to be able to some Dan Campbell knee biting.
There we go. Yep.
So I'm one last time just going to go around the board here, around the horn. Sean, you are okay with drafting center first round if the right person's available, right?
Absolutely. Even if it's Zach Frazier there, if it's hard to tell because some say, oh, you can get Leggett at 60, depending on that. But if like the top, or what people are calling the top receivers, are gone by 28, and let's say some of the D tackles are gone at 28, why not? I mean, it'd be tough for me if it's between like a Devondre Sweat or what's his name, Brian
Murphy.
Thompson,
Byron Murphy.
Byron Murphy. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were talking about
Brian Thomas.
Okay.
Thomas.
Thomas,
There we go. Yeah.
So if he's gone, or like, it might be tough to pick between those guys, but at the end of the day, I think I want to say you might be able to get Sweat at 60, but then you got to pick between him or Leggett. So you kind of, it's really, really difficult at that point. But again, I don't think it'd be a wrong choice for any of those guys. So if you can trade up and get JPJ, if you can get Zach Frazier, I think it's a guy that can change make your team better, and for a long time too. And again, like I said, we never had that, since like Eric Wood, where you brought in a center that you picked and groomed, and were able to build your offensive line and continue it, being young and strong. We brought Mitch Morse in his prime, which was great, but now it's time to bring in our Mitch Morse, our Jason Kelsey, and get it going.
I love Big L. He says, I think we'll get a center in the 4th round. Is that where you want us to go, Big L? Would you like us to go earlier if there was one of those top guys we talked about? Be curious. I don't know if you guys noticed when I played the train, all the Dolphins fans jumped off. Like they got off. They're like, that thing went from up here, it drops drastically. Pretty funny. But yeah, so Jake, I mean, you've been a big guy about you still think the Bills got to go wide receiver number 1, but
I don't necessarily think they have to. I think in rounds 1 or 2, I would like them to.
Okay. So are you okay with taking a center in round 1?
Yeah, I think if he's the best available player on the board, I'm here for it. I think right now the Bills are in that position to just take best available. And no matter who we get, I mean, I looked at our lineup again today, Mike. It ain't bad. We're filling out the pieces, and right now we're drafting guys that are going to be the future of this franchise. Guys that should be contributors at the very minimal this year. Your first 3 rounds, you're talking about guys that should probably be starters on this team day 1. Or if they're not starters, they better be playing a lot of snaps at the very minimal. So, yeah, I know. And Sean,
I mean, look how many picks we've had over the years of being like the 3rd round that they're not starters, they're just special team. Like we draft special teamers in the 3rd round. I don't like that. Like,
but Terrell Bernard, his whole rookie year, didn't play at all. I mean, he played special teams. That was it. Now look him last year. Didn't really have a choice, but yeah.
Crazy. See that, and that goes like, not to get off on a tangent quick, but to my point that I've been making this offseason where, moving off of guys at the right time. You got I don't really count the comp pick for Edmonds. You could have got rid of Edmonds on his last year. No, you knew Bernard was if you knew Bernard was that good and drafted him in the 3rd round, why wouldn't you have traded Edmonds? You got like you probably could have got like a 2nd round pick for Edmonds, maybe better.
Oh yeah,
without a 2nd and a 4th or something for Edmonds based off of his statistical, time in Buffalo. Yeah. Even though I wasn't the biggest fan of him, but instead of that, we didn't get nothing for him, and then you wasted a year of Bernard on the bench.
It is a blow, man.
Especially after what he did last year in his first year actually playing.
Yeah.
What would the outcome have been different that year when we had Edmonds? Nothing. It couldn't have been any worse. You know what I mean?
We didn't even mention his name.
Bowl, right? So
yeah. We were banged up as all could be, and it's like I didn't even once say like, man, I wish we had Tremaine Edmonds. I didn't say that, which is crazy, right? Like, yeah. That's
where it's tough because you got it's a hard decision, and nobody likes to make them, but yeah, that was that tangent. But like Big Al said, the 4th round. Look how many guys we talked about that are starters that have great tangibles. Of course, everyone has weaknesses, but guys that can come in day one and start, and then we can only have to worry about one position. You put McGovern back at left guard, and you can still get wide receiver, D tackle, safety, whatever in the first 3. And we got 2 4th-round picks, or again, we don't have a 3rd-round pick. So maybe you can trade one of the 4ths and like a 7th to move up into 3rd, or just stay put and get 2 4ths. And, I'm sure there's still great value at a lot of positions there as well. But that's why it's great about these centers that we talked about too, is they have no excuse why not to at least try to get one of them. We got a 7th, according to Jake, Mike doesn't believe so, but 6th to 7th round pick and Turner. Mike says he's the 4th, but then you got
my sources are more accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, where did you get the 4 to 6 round from?
Well, no, I just put all my notes down, but I'll send it to you off.
Yeah. But basically, what I'm trying to say is we basically picked guys that could go between 1 and 7. So there's no excuse for the Bills with 11 draft picks not to, like, if we can see this, how can they not see it? Like, they can't be happy with moving your great left guard to center and getting Will Clapp. Like, that can't be their, like, oh yeah, this is right. Monumental in our success now. Like, this is the greatest move ever. Like, they have to be thinking, we got to at least talk about one of these guys.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I like what Big L said. I kind of have it a little switched, Big L. I've been saying it since day one. I think defensive tackle in the 1st round. I know they brought in Austin Johnson, who basically finally figured out he's getting $3.5 million one year deal.
Yeah.
But again, I would love it if one of those top DTs were available. Oh my goodness, because the defensive line makes everyone behind them better. You can get some pressure, which we lacked severely last year, especially when we needed it. And I would like wide receiver, but I also I'm not sold on our safety room. I'm really not. I'm sorry, Mike Edwards. I just don't know. I know we heard from the Chiefs guys, and plus Taylor Rapp. We don't know what we're going to get from him either. I mean, last year people were down on him early on. Maybe now he's gonna. He's the guy, and maybe they'll utilize him better. So I'm not sold on safety either. So I'd love to see us get a safety at some point.
Kalen Bullock. Let's go get him, Mike.
That's my guy.
Right.
USC is only, it's a couple hours away. I drove up there. I went into USC. I made sure that I was able to get a contact and talk to him. And he definitely wants to play for the Buffalo Bills. So let's go. Let's make this happen.
What if we just traded almost all of our picks and just got like 4 first-round picks and then just pick a center, pick a D tackle, pick a wide receiver, pick a safety, call it a day.
Yeah. All right. I'm in for that.
Trade the 7 picks we got this year and then trade a couple next year. And let's just get all 1st-round picks. And if you can't hit those 4 1st-round picks, then we need a new general manager.
Well, listen, I have a hard stop, guys. I'm sorry. I have to end it here, but we got through these the centers. I think we're going to focus on defensive tackles next. We've been talking about wide receivers so much. Everybody's been talking about receivers. So it'll probably be the 3rd day that we do this. So again, Red, White, and Bills streaming live to a show. We saw some of the folks coming in, giving them love. Greatly appreciate that. Hit that like button for this young man. He does so much for our channel. So get on over. And all you got to do is go to our homepage, scroll down, awesome channels. You'll see Red, White, and Bills. Hit that, subscribe. Just got to subscribe right there. Sean doesn't have us as an awesome channel, which is okay. He thinks we're kind of subpar, but that's all right.
Anybody is awesome.
I get it. It's okay. But anyhow, guys, I got to call it a day. Jake, thank you so much. It's always fun. Great research. Thank you for putting those slides together.
Absolutely. You're the man. Real quick, let me shout you guys out. This is the first time that you've done the rush hour where you've actually did it in an hour.
Yes, baby.
I got to give you guys all the
How about it, baby? Fire it up.
Hit the horn one more time. The train.
Hit the horn. Let's go. Let's go. Out the door here, baby. Let's go. Take my guy that I said 1st round, 2nd round.
Brand Barton.
Have a good one. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.